Hey guys, it is Sam with Nexus Workshop, and today I'm going to be taking you through the Nexus Ultimate Prop Controller. Specifically, we're going to be talking about pins and jumpers that are on the physical board. Right here, I've got one of the boards as it comes from us. An important thing to note is that there's both this module here and then the actual terminal board itself. So the module itself can come out. It can actually get removed from the board, and it's got its pins and everything. We put it on the terminal board so you can use these little screw terminals on the outside. Nice and easy. When I put it back in, you'll notice that I have these different rows or columns of connectors. Doesn't matter. These are all the same going across. So here I have 3 sets of where it could line up, and it's labeling it L1 through 24 and R1 through 24. So I have this half and that half, L1 through 24. And then here I've got these rails. I have a rail of black for ground, yellow, which is the actual thing connecting to the pin here, and then red for voltage. And then I have my screw terminal, which is also connected to that yellow. So the screw terminal, the yellow, and the pin are all the same thing. If I ever unplug this, when I go to plug it back in, the important part is that I have one set of legs in this set, one set of legs in this set, and then I'm going to line up this bottom pin with the bottom of the board. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up there. Let's see. And again, you probably just want to you don't need to unplug it for anything. But there we go. Now, because this is shorter than the terminal board, it means I've got 4 available rows here up at the top, L1 through 4 and R1 through 4, that do not connect to anything on this board. We're going to see how that's helpful in a moment. The other important thing to think about is on this board itself, there is a little bit of screen printing right here on the edge that is showing me what these pins are on the module. There's a whole bunch of pins. There's not just 1 through X. They're all over the place. They're spread out. They're weird. Also, a lot of them can't be used for things because they're already something on that module. They're driving the Ethernet. They're driving the SD card reader. They're doing jobs. Now, I try to make that as easy as I can in the firmware. The way I've done that is whenever you're assigning pins, it's going to automatically only let you pick pins that are available to use, and it's going to give you their sort of friendly label. It's going to give you an L or an R. Like for instance, I know that R13 through 16 are all pins that you have available. L9 and 10 are both available. That's what it's going to say in the prop controller config. So whenever you add all your modules, you tell it what you want to hook up to it, and it's going to tell you, great, here's where the different pins of that are. You can change and adjust those from what's available, but it's going to give you that pin out of, here's what you connected. That's where you're going to wire up. But now we're going to talk about the jumpers. When I ship it to you, it's going to come with a couple jumpers on the board. Down here at the bottom on each side, there are these 2 little jumpers, and you'll notice they're labeled 3V3, VC2, and 5V0, or this one is VC1. That is the jumper that decides what is the rail that's going on this red. The overall board can take a 12-volt input right here, and that's where you're going to usually power with. It's just a 12-volt power supply, bam. And then this terminal board actually has voltage regulators on it that can provide 3.3 volts and 5 volts. When I send it to you, it's going to be configured for 5 volts. These jumpers are connecting that voltage rail to 5 volt on each side. It's also going to have these 2 jumpers down here. And this one is jumpering the red pin to the yellow pin, which means it's taking that 5 volt rail and it's sending it onto the signal pin for the thing. If you look at the little screen pinning right here, you'll notice that that's its VIN. That's its 5 volt input that's powering the actual board. Here, this one up, it's 3 up, so it's at L22. I've got a little black jumper that's jumping the black rail to the yellow. So that's connecting our ground rail of our terminal board to a ground pin on my board itself. That is how the board gets power from the terminal board, from its voltage regulators. Again, that's how it's going to be out of the box. You don't need to worry about that, but that's there. Now, if I were to take this voltage rail and say, hey, I have a lot of 3.3 volt sensors and modules and stuff that I want to hook up. I want 3.3 volt on that rail so I can use it. Then the important thing would be that I need to move this from the 5 volt pin to the 3.3 volt pin, which, if I remember right, is on L20. And I can tell that again because of the screen printing right here on the board. It's got a 3.3 volt input pin. I can move that there. I could also not change that side, and I could change this side to move this jumper up, and I could send 3.3 volt to this whole red rail and use it on this side while I leave that side as 5 volt. Do something like that. There are several pins you'll notice on the screen printing that are ground. For instance, L7 and R7, both ground. There's basically like 4 of them, I think, on each side. Just boom, 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 that are all ground pins. That's because this board uses the same layout as one of the Pi modules. So that's kind of where it's placed all those grounds. So you have several grounds available already. If you just use those screw terminals, boom, you've got connections to ground. So for a lot of your inputs, your read switches and stuff like that, you've got a signal pin and a ground pin. Great, you've got like 8 ground available just on the board. The other thing you can do, like I said, is I give you several of these jumpers. You can take these jumpers and you can use that L1 through 4 and R1 through 4 that are available. They're not part of the board. They're not connected to it. And I can do things with them. So like if I want to take this one and put it there, then now I have given myself, made this screw terminal, which is that yellow pin. I've connected it to the voltage rail. So now this is my 5-volt rail, and this screw terminal is giving me 5 volts. So if I have a relay that I'm connecting up, boom, I can power at 5 volt right there. And that's how I can use those top ones to provide extra 5 volt or ground connections. Also, of course, just with our electronics here, I can pull a ground wire off of here, put it into a Wago or put it into a wiring bundle and connect it up to multiple sensors or twist them all together or solder it up, whatever I want to do. But that is how those jumpers work on this specific module.